Hello and welcome to this week's episode of the Best Today podcast. I am your host, Shantae Grant, and today I'm really excited to talk about something I probably wouldn't have even thought to do an episode about, but we had a slew of questions come in the Best Today community when someone asked, Shantae, have you done an episode about your solo staycations, your trips that you take? I really would love to know more about like how you set them up and all of that. And I said, I don't think I have, but you know what? I know a girl who can make it happen. So I gave everyone an opportunity to ask their questions, and I've synthesized those questions. And that is what we're going to walk through in this week's episode of the Best Today podcast. So first of all, let's talk about what is a staycation, because different people call it different things. And if you hear staycation, you may think, oh, that's a trip where you just stay locally in your town. That could be true. But when I'm talking about it, and first of all, I'm talking about solo staycations, which means I travel solo just by myself. I don't travel with someone. It's not when I do like a girls trip or a spouse trip or a family trip. Clearly, it is a solo staycation, but you can use what I'm going to share with you today clearly to think of other things. But today I'm going to answer about when I go on trips and stay somewhere by myself. So that's what I mean by staycation, like a solo staycation, when I'm going somewhere, whether it is 10 miles from my house or 1,000 miles from my house, I still consider that a staycation. Okay. So that's what we're talking about, those solo trips for yourself, whether you're doing it for work, for play, or a little bit of both. So let's talk about it. Let's get into their questions. I'm just going to read through the questions and answer them for you. So if you have been thinking about planning a staycation rather, or planning basically a solo trip, or maybe you want to, and you've kind of thought, well, can I do that? What's that about? Keep listening. This episode is for you. So the first question is, how do you plan your solo staycations for work or for personal? My answer there is it's the same format, whether it's for personal or work. Personal just means I'm not doing it to go and get like deep work done. I'm going just to have some time to just be with myself. The format is pretty much the same. I plan them the same way. And the thing with when I plan these for work, it's still personal because I make lots of time for doing the things that I want. It's not full on working the complete time I'm away. Work usually is a big focus if it's a work one, but there's always time for getting food that I love, watching something I love, reading something I love, going for a run, things like that. So my typical setup is this. I leave on a Thursday and I come back on a Sunday morning. That is how I typically set them up. 90% of the time, they're Thursday through Sunday morning. I leave after school drop off. So I take my children to school and then I head to wherever my destination is going to be. And I'm back Sunday morning, usually around 9, no later than 10 before we all go to church together. That gives me 2 full days, Friday and Saturday. I typically stay in a rental as I tend to like that better than a hotel because I have more space to spread out. I can designate a certain room for work or rooms for work and designate certain places for no work. This is where I'm going to relax. So I always stay in really higher end, really nice, more luxurious feeling or really modern styled places. Like I want to stay in an environment that feels inspiring, not just in some kind of dark, rinky dink, just looks like a regular old house. I literally stay in places, to borrow from Maddie James, that are aesthetically pleasing. So that's what I look for in my rentals. So that's my setup, Thursday to Sunday and back Sunday morning. And I usually leave after drop off on Thursday. Second question, do you have someone help with your children? Their father. My children have 2 parents. 2 full human parents, right? And women get this question all the time, and very rarely do men. My children have 2 parents. So if you don't see them with me, you can assume they're with him. If you don't see them with him, you can assume they're with me in the times you don't see us all together. But typically they're there, which is why I set it up this way. I leave Thursday after drop off, which means all he would have to do is a pickup and then a drop off pickup on Friday. That's it. So it doesn't, completely interfere with, I do drop off and pick up now. It used to be that I just did pick up, but now I do drop off and pick up based on our schedules and locations. But yeah, so, in real life, if I wasn't here, the person to care for my children would be their other parent. The beauty of having two parents. Now, for the person who does not have that situation where you don't have two parents, I also recently did a full week, and this was a work staycation, but of course there was significant time for fun and play. But I did a full week and my mom came up for that. When my mom asks what I want for my birthday, it's the same at this age of my life and stage of my life. I want a full week in exchange for my time. So for my birthday, I want her to come and stay at my house for a full week and enjoy her grandchildren. And I'm going to disappear, leave the premises, leave the state. And I look at it as a win-win. She gets time with her grandchildren. I get time to go away and do whatever it is I want or need to do. So that's how it's usually set up. It is 90% of the time, my children are with their other parent, or my mom is usually that second source that comes in. When we had a nanny, we no longer have or need one. I would go and she would just stay until my husband got home from work. And then we were also doing school. Everything was at home, so it was a lot easier. There was no pickup or drop off, so that was also really easy during that season. But we're no longer in that season. We are all out of the house for school and work now. I have an office outside of home. So number 3, it's uncomfortable because going away and by myself feels selfish. How do you overcome that? I don't have to overcome that because it's not selfish and it's not uncomfortable. And here's why. What is uncomfortable to me is to live my life like I'm only one thing. I'm just a parent, and that's all I am. That's not true. So that's not how my life and my time will be reflected. To not honor the many parts of me, even within a season of being a parent to young children, would be dishonorable to me. And I'm in a season, yes, of raising 2 young children, and it gets the majority of my time and energy in some form or fashion. Clearly during the school day, they're not with me, but there's still the mental energy. How many things am I going to do for them when I'm away from them? Scheduling appointments, thinking about birthday parties. They need this. I need to order that. Be here at this time, right? So they get a lot of my energy, my time, my resources, and I want it to be that way. But parenting doesn't get everything. And because of that, I am able to be a better parent, be a better human, be a better friend, be a better all the other things, because I feel all the cups that make up me, right? I love all the sides of me. I'm more than just a parent. So I want to invite you to ask yourself why you have allowed this feeling of shame or guilt or selfishness to even be a part of this conversation, because it's not a part of the conversation. You have brought it into the conversation, but it wasn't originated in the room. You brought it in. And so I'm saying I don't do that because it's not uncomfortable. Now, if it is uncomfortable for you, it really very well could be. Ask yourself, why is that? And do the work there, because a human taking time to be with themselves, no matter what other things you also are, it's not selfish. If you are in a season where your child is like sick to the point of you are in a hospital day in, day out, and you choose to take a day where someone else is running first string and you take time back, that is not selfish. That is not, oh my gosh, I'm being a horrible parent, right? We need to understand that we are worth taking care of and loving and making space and time for, okay? So that's the answer to that. The reason that also I don't feel uncomfortable is because I'm excellent I'm excellent at parenting. It doesn't mean I'm getting it right. Let me be clear. Excellent at parenting doesn't mean I get everything right. I have it all figured out. Phew. Nah, girl. But what it means is I am intentional with the things that I am doing. And I know that just as much as I am giving for me and my time away, I'm giving that to all the other areas of my life that need it. And that's what allows me to maneuver life without guilt or shame or feeling selfish or uncomfortable when I need to say, you know what? I'm going to take this time for me now. I'm going to leave this and I'm going to go and do this thing I need for myself. And that's on a daily, weekly, quarterly, monthly, yearly, anytime basis. Okay. So really look and ask yourself, maybe it's part of the uncomfortable because you feel like you're not actually pouring into the other parts might not be the reason, but it's just a place for you to sit and really do some digging and understand what that is, because uncomfortableness or discomfort rather, and feeling like it's selfish is not a part of the narrative for me in any form or fashion. I love taking this time for myself, and I hope it's something that my children will do for themselves if they decide to be parents. Okay, I forget what number we're on. How do you decide where you'll stay, how long, how safe it is for you going along? Do you try to find places where you know a friend in the area you can visit? Great questions. The last trip, when it was a week, I did go to Miami, where I have a friend that lives there. So technically, I guess you wouldn't call that solo, because I was with her. I stayed with her, but she works full time. She's a college professor. And so most of the time I was with myself and her dog. And I worked. It was a lot of work, but we also went out for dinners. We went to lunch one day. We went to a museum. So we carved time for doing fun things and eating good food. But the majority of my time was spent knee deep in work, because that was my intention. So, but typically that was an outlier. Typically I go to, actually, that's like the only time I've ever done that. One other time, this was a solo staycation. I met a friend in Athens. We rented a house and we both worked. We worked. And then we paused for dinner. And after we stopped, we cut off work time, and then we had dinner together and just hung out. We worked out in the mornings together. So that was like a dual staycation, if you will, since it was two of us. Those I also fully enjoy. But typically 95% of the time, it's just me. I love doing it both of those ways as well, where I either go where a friend is or me and a friend meet together. The friend who I visited in Miami is single, not married, and doesn't have children. And my friend who I met in Athens, she, like me, is married with children. So it was nice for us both to have that time in a beautiful home. We went for a run. We got great food in Athens. So that was fantastic. At Best Today, we exist to help women just like you be your best one today at a time. So each week on the podcast, we are going to highlight your stories and your voices. So let's see what's in the inbox today. Today, we have a 5-star review for our Not Waiting for January class from Leah. And Leah writes, "You are worth it. Don't wait to make yourself a priority and get into this class. Shantae shares the truths to optimize your time, prioritize your well-being, and make consistency the key. Take the first small step and don't wait until the time is right. Your time is now." And she has now in all caps, ! Thank you so much, Leah, for joining us for the Not Waiting for January class. If you are ready to learn how to optimize your time and strengthen your consistency muscles, get the replay right now by going to besttoday.co. You can also just go straight to Not Waiting for January, and I'll also link it in today's show notes at besttoday.co/91. It's the Not Waiting for January class. Get in on that replay and find out why so many people are raving about the class and giving it 5-star reviews. Thanks again, Leah. But most of the time it is me, and I go, and that's why I typically don't share about where I'm going until I'm back, because of the fact that it is me. But I always stay in places that feel safe. I do a lot of research on the area where the homes are for the rentals. I typically stay somewhere nearby that I can drive to in 2 to 3 hours. I don't want to drive over 3 hours. So for me, though, where I live, that gives me a lot of options. I have Charlotte, Asheville, Atlanta, Athens, and so many more cities that are really some in just an hour away. So I like to go somewhere that's 3 hours or less for me. And that makes it easy for me to get there and for me to get back. Because remember, I like to get back early on Sunday morning. How do you budget for this type of trip? Did I answer all the questions up there? How long safe is it for you going along? Yeah, I always stay places, I said, where I feel safe, great neighborhoods, which is another thing. When I try to find homes that are really nice, I talk to the person before I book their house to really get a sense of where it is. I will ask people who I know who live in that city or know of that city about that area if I need to. And now I've kind of got a slew of places that I can just count on. Okay, next question. How do you budget for this type of trip? I set aside the amount I need for the trip every quarter because I do this every quarter. And I spend about the same regardless of what city I stay in because I get to pick. If that house is outside of my budget, then I don't pick it. Or I say I'm going to increase the budget, right? And really it's just paying for lodging and food, I guess gas also. And again, those are really the biggest expenses is the lodging and the food. And I believe life is to be lived. And if I'm going to spend money on anything, it's going to be good, cute shoes, experiences, and food. So for me, this is a really important priority and worth my money. Okay, next question. What have you found to be most successful to find local activities and food spots? So food, I start Googling food as soon as I decide what city I'm going to, because to me, I want to eat something I can't eat it where I'm at home. Give me all the good local places. It's my favorite part of traveling, hands down, no matter where I'm going. Ask anybody who I travel with, I'm talking about the food. Where we eating, what we eating, how many places can we fit in to eat? Like, I remember I planned a trip for my friend's 30th birthday to New York, and the agenda was basically all the places we were going to eat, and then the things we do between meals to pass off the time till it was time to eat again. So I spend a lot of my time inside though when I get to the place. So if I'm traveling by myself, I don't do like activities, right? I spend the most of my time in my rental, which is why I choose really nice ones. I'll go out for a run. I'll go get food. It's always takeout. I may go to an art museum, but that's about it. That's what I like and what works for me, but do what works for you. I don't look for local activities. I don't really like being around strangers like that. But for me, I spend the most of my time in my rental. I go out to get food and to run. And that's about it. And let's see, do you ever start to feel lonely while you're away? And how do you navigate that if you do? I don't feel lonely at all because I love spending time with myself. I haven't lived with myself since 2008. And so it's really nice to be with me and my thoughts and my ideas. I just think, how on earth can you know someone who you don't spend time alone with? And that includes yourself. Yes, you're with you all the time, but you're usually with you doing things that are on someone else's agenda, whether it's your boss, your work, your company, your customers, your clients, your children, your spouse, your family. So it's so important to take time away from all those other responsibilities, away from the noise and the hustle and bustle of the everyday, and just be with yourself. Some of my best work is born out of these trips, including this company and the Best Today Guide, and a product that we have coming in 2022, and actually every product, or 2023, and every product actually in 2023, even when I think of it outside of alone time, it's when I go in and do these solo work trips that I can then go in and really season it and make it better and say, okay, this is what I want it to look like. And oh, let's do this and think about it really thoroughly. So if you have bought anything from Best Today, you are benefiting from these trips that I take. So I don't get lonely because it's filled with things that I love. I love the work that I do, and I love being with myself. And again, they're typically short. Even the week, I didn't feel lonely, but granted, I was with someone. I saw someone else every day, but even being a week away, a week by myself, I wouldn't feel lonely. I still contact my family, but I'm going to be with them more than not. So for me, there's no need to feel lonely. But if I did, I'd navigate and figure out what that was. But for me, I don't experience that. Okay. And I think our last question is, how do you go about structuring your time and activities? What do you always include and what might be flexible? Do you ever do a local staycation or always travel? So I haven't done anything in my actual city. Well, that's not true. One Mother's Day, I did ask for a hotel stay, but that was just, and I didn't do any work for that. That was just one night in a hotel. That was fantastic. But typically 99% of the time, I haven't done one in my city outside of that one Mother's Day gift. I like going to places where I don't live to try new food, run new trails. But if time was really short, I would definitely consider doing something like, let's say I had to be back by Saturday. I would do something maybe closer because that's a shorter commute and that gives me more time to be in the space where I am. But typically my setup is like this on check-in day, because usually rentals check-ins later in the afternoon, like 4:00. I'll set everything up. I'll make my results and outcome list. If I haven't already done so, I'll decide where I'm going to have dinner. Pick up my dinner and I relax. Then the next day, that first full day is my usual morning routine, but maybe even a little slower, right? Workout, shower, breakfast. Then I work until lunch, then I work until dinner. And then after dinner, it's usually just relax and set up for the next day. Repeat that for day 2. Then I pack up at night because I usually have to leave early in the morning. And so when I go, I look for bakeries, restaurants that I either love because I visited that place before or have never tried. I try to do a mix of both if that's possible. And that's how I structure my time. Let's see. Do you ever do local? I think that's it. So that's it. There you have it. I hope that was helpful to you. I know that it is. I know it will be helpful to the people who needed that. I want to encourage you, if you've never planned a solo staycation for work or just for yourself, because those are fantastic, that you make plans to do so. You do not have to be a business owner or have even a job to do this. It's a solo staycation for whatever you need it to be. Decide what time frame works for you. Start small. Maybe just do overnight in a hotel in your town, right? Maybe start as small as there. I encourage you to listen to episode 21, 4 reasons to prioritize your relationship with yourself. That's also going to help you, particularly if you are feeling like, this feels like, should I do this? Yes, you should. Or maybe not should you, because you get to decide what you do for your life. I invite you to consider it. Now let me know what other questions you have. Let's continue talking about this over in the Best Today community. You can join us at besttodaycommunity.com. That's our online community that is accessible online or through our app, which you can download after joining the community. Inside of the community, we have live calls, exclusive curriculum, and so many perks. It is the place to be if you are a fan of Best Today. So let's finish this conversation or continue this conversation over there in the Best Today community. Thank you so much for being present with me for this week's episode of the Best Today podcast. Until next time, remember that you are capable and you are worthy of being your best one today at a time. And you have everything you need to have everything you want. So go on and shout it out as you live it out. This is what my best today looks like. And if you haven't gotten your mugs and shirts that say this is what my best today looks like, go on over to besttoday.co and order yours today. I'll talk to you on the next episode. If you enjoyed this week's episode of the Best Today podcast, you are going to love the Best Today guide. Our Better Than a Planner guide teaches you how to get clear on what you want, identify your self-destructive habits and behaviors, and intentionally create space to prioritize yourself every single day. Don't go the journey to being your best one today at a time without the Best Today guide. See inside its pages and order yours today at besttodayguide.com. Even better, when you order the Best Today guide, we gift you with your first month free inside of the Best Today membership. So what are you waiting for? We're giving you everything you need to trade busy for intention. Go to besttodayguide.com and order yours today and join thousands of women across the globe proclaiming each day, this is what my best today looks like.